Hello, everyone. I'm excited to share a little preview of what I shared and presented on at Microsoft 365 conference in 2026, measuring Copilot and agent ROI. Now, the challenge, of course, is that many organizations are investing into pilots, and sometimes they're wondering, did we invest in the right area? Are we getting the right value out of this? Are people actually using it? This is not, you're not the only one who's running into this question. Many have as well. Last year, I think around the summertime, MIT came out with a study called the Gen AI Divide and a state of AI in business 2025. And they just highlighted about 95% of folks or organizations were purchasing, buying, trying to adopt AI, but we're not getting the return on their investment. You'll notice as part of this graph as well, that investment continues to grow. All of us investing into AI, we know it's a game changer. However, changes are not always the same. And in terms of AI adoption, it's different from other technologies. Usually what's happened when you've got any technology, you have a rollout, you transition over to that new tech, and then legacy tool is turned off. And now everyone is using the new tech, which is amazing, right? It's a very clear distinction of when you're using the tool and when you're not using the tool. Whereas with Copilot, you roll out Copilot and you have a mixture of users or champions, some that adopt Copilot and others who continue to do the work the old way of working. Either way, the task still gets completed. So the completion rate might look like the same, but you're not sure if people are using it effectively or not. And this challenge is really, really hard because it kind of highlights the fact that users are going to react to Copilot in different ways, primarily because of change management, primarily because of how they're leveraging it. And you're going to have broadly three types of users. You're going to have the champion user who's going to immediately adopt Copilot. You're going to have the reluctant user who's like, I'm not really sure about this. I kind of like my old way of working. I'm still going to get the job done. And you have this big group of curious users who are sometimes trying out adopting Copilot, sometimes are using the old way of working. So it's really challenging. And part of the session, the presentation, was going through three major items. One was understanding how to know your environment, because you cannot govern what you cannot see. So that was really, really important. And I went through and highlighted a number of different ways you can control and govern your data and make sure it's secure, make sure it's accessible, and make sure Copilot and AI in general has access to the right data as well. Also went through a big chunk of the presentation was around orchestrating excellence, which is you've got these isolated AI efforts that are happening. Sometimes we do a pilot within a department, sometimes we do a pilot across departments. Everyone's got a kind of a different mindset on what works and what doesn't. Success stories on both sides. But those isolated AI efforts don't scale. How do you actually scale them? I go through practical tips and tricks there. And then last but not least, how do you provide actually prove strategic impact? The AI investments, they should be evidence-based. You can't just kind of say, yep, people are using it. Oh, it looks like we've got 90% adoption. And those Copilot usage reports, I kind of go through as well and highlight why they work and when they don't work. One of the biggest takeaways in the presentation as well, and I want to just share a little preview, was, show me the incentive and I'll show you the result. If your goal is to have adoption, which means you want to have agents, your organization absolutely can create a number of agents. But that metric becomes agent volume. You can create these massive number of agents that never get used and they don't drive impact. Agent usage is a little bit closer to that. It's closer to the mark. It's a good indicator of which tools are meaningful to employees, or they might deserve a potential promotion for use throughout your organization, which is really nice. But usage still doesn't necessarily correlate to business value. Just because it's being used doesn't mean it's necessarily providing the value that you're looking for. So in the presentation, I also kind of highlight that the challenge here is not just the metrics, but also how you communicate this to executives. Like if you want to expand this Copilot usage or AI across the organization, how do you actually communicate that? If the executive is asking, is it worth the license cost? Then what you should try to look at is like, hey, if we're break even from a cost perspective at 54 minutes saved per user per month, right now we're averaging 9 hours per user per month. If somebody's saying, hey, can we actually trust these numbers? Then what you need to do and what you need to say is we ran a structured pilot with a controlled group, and here's a before and after. Being able to be very evidence-based and be able to show these metrics and these different perspectives goes a long way in terms of proving that the org should continue to invest and continue to build. Now, this presentation was about an hour long, contained 100 plus slides, so I'm really excited to share this with you as a little preview, but there's so much more. I encourage you to check it out. And if you're looking at how to measure Copilot agent ROI and just kind of need help with building that ROI business use case, please feel free to reach out. The QR code's there. I'm looking forward to chatting with you and also sharing some of the resources.